So today I'm going to be talking about something that everybody in the LGBT community shares, which I think is really cool, and that is a coming out story. And if you don't have one yet, then I hope that eventually you do have one and that you're able to live your most authentic self. But I guess I'll just start right into like the very first moment that I suspected that I was gay. I had a friend and we were very close. We had the same last name. They were a very important person to me, and this person gave me one of those shell necklaces that you get at like the beach in Hawaii and stuff, and I would wear it, and I started noticing that around this time I started having a crush on Jackie Evancho, which I don't know if you know who that is, but it's this really young opera singer that was really popular in like, I don't know, 2014 or something. And I thought that she was the most beautiful girl in the world, and I was like, oh my god, like, I can't think about this, like, Satan is possessing me, because you have to understand that I was growing up in a very conservative Christian family. My parents both had siblings that are gay, and they never spoke highly of them. They always said bad things about them. They were always, fighting with that person, especially my mom and her brother. Which now looking back on it and knowing what I know now about my mom, I'm like, how much of that was her instigating things, because she has a tendency to do that. So I grew up not ever like really getting to see my uncles, who were the only LGBTQ people in my life. And when I did, it was always very awkward, and there was always like really hard conversations that my parents always had with us about like, okay, now Uncle Jeremy's gonna be there with Uncle Jason, and you have to understand that just because you see them, hugging and kissing, that's not right. So it's very confusing as a young Christian girl to have these feelings and not know what to do with them, just like hide them. So I threw the necklace away. I was like 13. I thought in my 13-year-old brain that this necklace was the reason that I was having these gay thoughts. So I threw it away. And they didn't stop, obviously, because that's not how this works, but I didn't know that. Then I started having like feelings for my best friend, like just random intrusive thoughts of me like kissing my best friend. I was like, what the heck? And she wasn't even a nice person, so it was like very, very strange. And I had a crush on her brother at the same exact time, so I was like, what is going on? So like that's your first indication that she swings both ways. In high school, I didn't really have a crush on anybody. I went to this little trade school, was what it was called. I was in a robotics program, so there was only 3 girls, so the pickings were slim. So I think that's what happened in high school. I didn't really deal with those feelings a whole lot because I wasn't around a lot of other people. And another part of my high school experience was me being homeschooled, so didn't have a lot of like interpersonal interactions during those years. So I really pushed these feelings down until I got to college, and then I was around all these people all the time. It's really hard to ignore those feelings when you are surrounded by pretty girls. At this point in my life, I was actually dating somebody, so it was a lot harder to ignore, but I definitely noticed like those feelings kind of creeping back in once I broke up with my boyfriend. I actually went to Greece for study abroad, and that's when I like really started having a crush on one of my friends. I actually was roommates with her, and I was always very respectful because I was like not out yet, and she was definitely not out, and I didn't even know where she stood. And so like we talked, and that was the first person I think I came out to. I was like, hey, I think I might be bi, and she was so chill about it. We were literally sitting in Rome, like talking about how we feel about people, and she was like, yeah, I think that sometimes I appreciate women too much than what is normal for a straight person. And I was like, yeah, I get that. So this friend and I were really close, and we ended up holding hands on this trip just because like we were good friends, and that's just something girls do. I don't know. It wasn't anything romantic on my end anyway, but someone took a picture and her mom texted her and was like, are you gay? Like you're holding this girl's hand? So then it was like a whole joke that we were a lesbian couple the entire time. And that was pretty funny. I'm still very close with this person, and I did end up telling her that I had a crush on her, and if I was going to date a girl at this school that I would date her, and she's like, okay, cool. So she was a very chill person for me to come out to, and after that, I think I came out to a couple other people. I think I came out to like Asia and Clem, and we all talked about it. I never really went out with girls. I had one girl that I like matched with on Tinder, but we just like had a phone Zoom conversation, and that was it. So that was like as much dating as I did before I met Stacy. Then obviously came out to Stacy like That'd be crazy if I didn't. So once we matched, I let him know up front, like, hey, I know that this isn't something that everybody's into, but I am bi, and I'm telling you this kind of as a litmus test as well, because a lot of guys, as soon as they hear that, they would jump straight to let's do a threesome or whatever. And I just want to make sure that this was not the kind of guy that Stacy was, and obviously he wasn't. He was just like, okay, cool, good to know. And I was like, awesome. So that was as far as that went. It was never a big deal to Stacy. Sometimes he makes jokes about it, but it's always like in good fun. He's very straight. So I think that's why it's so funny, to me anyway, because he comes up with some really good gay jokes. It's really funny. So then the next person I came out to was my sister. I'll go into this a little bit in a different video, like I'll explain more. Our parents are narcissistic, and she was really struggling in a lot of the same ways that I was struggling when I was at home, and was just really deconstructing her faith at that time, and was like, I think this is wrong anymore. And I was like, okay, well, I guess now's a good time to tell you that I'm bi. Like, and I don't think it's wrong either. Like, this is just who I am, and this is the life that I've been living for the last couple years. After I came out to Ashley, I didn't really like tell anybody else for a while. I mean, like, I would talk to my clients about it because I had friends of mine that were in a similar boat as I was. They were raised very, like, conservatively, and then they grew up, and now they're also a part of the LGBTQ community. So I really only talked to people in my program that were my friends about it. Then I wanted to change my niche for training. I had my niche as curvy women that want to lose weight but stay curvy. And I noticed that the demographic of people that I was getting just didn't really mesh well with my personality. I was getting a lot of Republicans that were really conservative, and that's just like not who I was anymore. So it was really hard to deal with that. So I changed my niche to LGBTQ people. So basically my first time coming out, like, to everybody was online, like on Instagram. It was 4th of July the night before, and I had posted about how Stacy and I are not celebrating 4th of July, but we are going to, light sparklers in remembrance of the people that have lost their lives due to injustice and inequality in the United States. And someone messaged me and said that was the stupidest thing they'd ever heard, and I was like, well, I don't really give a shit. There's a lot of people that are disenfranchised, people of color, LGBTQ people, and I put the B in LGBTQ, so I'm going to stand for this because this is who I am and this is what I care about. And so that was the first time that I ever came out online, and then shortly after that I changed my niche to LGBTQ people, and I did lose a lot of friends, like my best friend that I've known for years and years. Not one that I've mentioned in this video already, but like my childhood best friend that was also raised very conservatively. We don't talk anymore. My sister has lost friends, and yeah, it's really sad, but at the end of the day, those aren't people that I want in my community and in my following anyway. Like, that's just not who I want to serve, to be quite honest. I don't want to serve somebody that hates gay people or hates people of color or is just bigoted in any way. Like, I don't want that. It turned out to be a really good thing, obviously. It's always a good thing to come out, but it turned out to be an even better thing for my business because there wasn't, and there still is not, a whole lot of LGBTQ coaches or affirming coaches for LGBTQ people. A lot of coaches are very set in, this is the way that your gender typically looks and how your gender typically trains, and if you want to look different than what your assigned gender usually looks like, I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to talk about binding in the gym. So I realized that there was a huge need for that, and that was a need that I wanted to fill, and that was a need I felt like I could fill because I had lived it, I wasn't just some straight person that's a trainer that's helping LGBTQ people. I'm an LGBTQ coach helping LGBTQ people and always educating myself on new topics and new studies and things like that because I know that it's important in our community. And I know that it is something we need more of. And I hope that eventually there is more coaches that are LGBTQ affirming, and specifically for the LGBTQ community, because it's so important to have a safe place where there's not going to be other people that are going to treat them badly. Because that's my biggest fear, is if I wasn't an LGBTQ coach, I might have somebody in my program that I don't know is bigoted, But if I post something or my client posts something about being gay, that could set them off and give that other person, the LGBTQ person, a very traumatizing experience. And obviously I don't want that, so I just keep it to LGBTQ plus people and allies only. And if you don't fit those categories, then you don't get to join the program. And I don't want you in the program because you're probably a shit person if you're not an ally. I'm sorry, you're just probably a shit person. I never really got to come out to my parents. I never wanted to come out to my parents. They obviously saw things that I would post on Instagram. They would always like the things that weren't LGBTQ. Like, they would like my fitness posts, but they would like always skip over things like that. My mom did come over to our apartment one time, and I did have my bi flag hanging up, but Stacy doesn't think she probably knew what that was. She didn't say anything. And she hasn't said anything. My parents both have never wanted to talk about it or address it with me or ask me like, why are you training LGBTQ people? Which I'm glad, because I don't want to have that conversation with them. But also, it kind of sucks to feel like they're in denial about it, if that makes sense. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like they know, but they're in denial because they don't want to feel like they messed up as parents, because that is the mindset that they would still be in. But I'm much happier now. I'm so glad to be living my truth. I never thought that sentence would have so much meaning to me, but it does. I'm just really happy. I'm happy to be part of this community, and I'm happy to help other people in this community. There was a lot of debate on whether bi or pan was the correct term, which I did a lot of research, and the pansexual flag, to me, it's great, but to me it just feels a little bit like bi erasure because it includes trans people, and that's kind of what people don't understand. Sometimes people believe that this includes trans people from that attraction, and pansexual does include, but that's because of bi erasure. And so if you are bi, that does mean that you are attracted to people of any gender identity. So yeah. So there's a little bit of debate, and I had to take it to Instagram to figure out what the correct definition of bi was, because I was like, do I need to change am I pan? But no, I'm comfortable with my bi title, I guess. And yeah, I'm very happy that I came out. I'm very happy that I get to surround myself with like-minded people, and people in this community have always been so welcoming and accepting, obviously, because that's what we're all about. That is the end of this video. I would love to hear about your coming out stories, experiences, whether good or bad. I know that some people have way worse ones, and I think it was a lot better because I didn't come out to my parents. Like, if I had it, that probably would have been a more traumatic experience. I ended up protecting myself from that, thank goodness. So yeah, please share your stories with me. Let me know in the comments what videos you'd like to see about lifestyle or fitness or food, anything like that, so that I know what content that you guys want to see. And yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.